every year. We used to do it, and I'm sorry, I'm throwing our director because we will get back to the poll thing. But every year we used to do an all VFL show, and we're going to do that next week. So we'll have 6, 7, 8 different VFLs that we'll rotate through here and just let them have their say on where the program is right now. Now, let's get back to what our director was wisely doing, and that's the poll question, if we can put that up there. There we go. How do you feel about corporate sponsors in Tennessee? There are your answers. 47% okay with logos, not names. 21% said fine if cash equals winning. 25% bigger. I hate every bit of it. Okay. And then 7% say, I don't care. All right. Very good. Appreciate you playing our little poll. We'll do that throughout football season as well. ESPN's analytics department has been hard at work crunching numbers with their football power index. They say Tennessee has a 5% chance to win the SEC, a 37% chance to make the playoff, and a 2% chance to win the national title. Congratulations to their computers. Now, let's take a look at their schedule game by game and what they said Tennessee was going to do. And we'll look at it first by date. There we go. So you've got a 99% chance of beating Chattanooga, according to them. 69.4% chance against NC State, 98.5% against Kent State. At Oklahoma, only a 40% chance of winning, okay? Arkansas, 74% chance of winning down there, 70% chance of beating Florida here. That's interesting. Alabama, 42% chance. We'll get back to that. Kentucky, 79.4%. Mississippi State, 83.5%. At Georgia, that's your least likely win on the year. I don't think anybody would take issue, 20.6%. And then, man, if you lose to Georgia, those last two games are going to really suck. 95.8% and 84.9%. Just breeze games at the end, useless, meaningless games against UTEP and Vanderbilt. Bad if you lose to Georgia. If you win, you're just coasting through those and not minding that you're playing crap. Let's take a look at this, though, in terms of by the chance of winning. Let's realign that. All right, now this is the easiest to the toughest. Anybody have any issues? Your hardest games, according to ESPN, at Arkansas, then Florida, then NC State, which is in Charlotte, then Alabama, at Oklahoma is your second toughest game according to their computers, and then at Georgia's number one. I'm drawn to that Alabama-Oklahoma thing.
I'm drawn to Vanderbilt, 84%. Okay, I feel like that should be in the 90s.
It should be higher.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts? I mean,
I don't have a problem with anything that the ESPN's thrown up there. Go to the right side. At Arkansas, trap game on the road before you play the Florida game. Florida's always giving you problems.
Yep.
You've talked about it all the time, John, about how Florida and Tennessee. NC State's a neutral site game. Raleigh's not that far from Charlotte. Bama at home should be a touch higher than going on the road in the SEC opener. Nico's first true test in a conference game against Oklahoma, and then Georgia's Georgia. I think this is spot on.
I've done radio with you and Will, and I've never heard you or Will sound like you think Oklahoma is all that.
Oh, no. That being said, the computers.
See, I think Oklahoma on the road will be tough. I don't think it'll be tougher than Alabama, those two.
I agree.
I'm just going based on. I'm trying to think of like the computer here. Me?
No, I want your take. I've got the computers.
I think Oklahoma should be more in the 50-50 range. I think that Tennessee against that Tennessee's defensive line, if it's hyped up like Rodney Gardner and some of the other people have said, they are really impressive deep. I question some of these guys in the transfer portal and their starts on the offensive line for Oklahoma. I would put Alabama even a touch lower. I just think Kalen DeBoer's offense, even though the last time they played at Neyland Stadium, we know what happened, cigar smoke, et cetera, et cetera. I think this is a 9-3, 10-2 season, and I think the biggest swing game is the Oklahoma game, and that should be up just a touch higher.
I think it's just because it's the first one, and it's the first road test, and it's the first for Nico, and I think you're hedging your bets by it being, 40%. If it was later in the year, I think 50, 60%, Tennessee probably wins if Nico and the team trends the way they're supposed to, but it's your first SEC game for Nico. I think it's tough.
It's their first SEC game, period. They're going to be fired up.
I think that those numbers go up even higher if you go into the first open date 4-0 with that win at New Orleans.
At Oklahoma, harder than Alabama?
No, I don't think so. I wonder what their formula is, how much they weigh home field, because it looks like it's weighed pretty heavily.
Yes,
exactly.
Oklahoma is going to be a tough environment for Tennessee, no question. Is it tougher than Georgia or Alabama or anywhere else like that? No, I went there 9 years ago, 10, whenever it was. It's a good place to play, not an impossible place to play. So I think Tennessee can win that game. And to your point, the line of scrimmage, that offensive line against Tennessee's defensive line, I think they have the advantage there. So I would have Tennessee maybe 51, 52% personally.
Yeah, I've gotten Oklahoma fans watch this show online. I get more comments from Oklahoma folks, and they are really ticked at us for never taking them seriously, which I do. But I do wonder, we keep saying our Tennessee's defensive line against Oklahoma's offensive line What about Oklahoma's defensive line against Tennessee's offensive line?
their
Let's see. Let's see how that goes. I mean, Brent Venables, they should have a pretty good defense this year.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay.
Their talent.
You're not impressed?
Their talent's always been a little more questionable on the defensive side, I think. We'll see. I mean, it's not a bad defense.
Anything stand out?
Flip-flop Oklahoma and Alabama in terms of how tough it is. I also think Florida, that win percentage is too high. Because I think the bigger debate, not on what's tough for Oklahoma or Alabama, it's Oklahoma or Florida. Like, if you're going to pick a third loss for Tennessee, I think that's more of a debate, not because of Florida being that great, but because of the history of Florida and your struggles with them. That's what I would put more in trying to decide a third loss versus Oklahoma or Alabama. So.
I think NC State's the right one to have as the next most
Number
likely
4.
loss or possible loss for Tennessee. But I was interested by the Florida number. That's higher than most people would, or lower than most people would expect it to be. People think Florida's not going to be very good this year. So for that number to be 70 is honoring the history of that series for sure.
Yeah, exactly. It's interesting. To me, I would have it more on Florida's side. No, I'm not saying Florida would win. I wouldn't have it as Tennessee as 70-point chance.
percentage, yeah.
I would lower Tennessee's percentage simply based on history. You are to Florida as Kentucky is to you. Kentucky can have a better team, and they're not going to beat you. You can have a better team, and history says you don't beat Florida. That's just history.
And on paper, I would have thought Kentucky a little closer to Florida numbers-wise. They obviously are, again, honoring the history of that series.
Yeah, they are.
Kentucky's
More than they
not-
are the Tennessee-Florida one.
Yeah.
All right. When we come back, 2 Vols make ESPN's list of the top 100 players in college football. But is there anybody on Tennessee's team that's getting too much hype? Not that they're bad players. Just is there anybody that we're overhyping in an unfair way? Come on back.